Hi, Year 11. I'm Miss Brennan, and I'm going to talk you through your sixth form transition task. Before I do that, though, just like to say how much we're looking forward to meeting you, and how happy we are that you've chosen to study D&T A level with us. So, with any of our design projects that we set at Cooper's, we always like to create a bit of a scenario, a bit of background, give you a bit of background information. And in this case, it's set in the fictitious town of Roboville in AI in the United States. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith have just bought a new home in the heart of Roboville, which is a new development of robotically dependent homes in the newly named American state of AI. Every home within Roboville will be run entirely by automated systems and will have its own robo cleaner. Each night, when the homeowners are asleep in bed, the robo cleaner will be programmed to clean the downstairs areas, washing the floors and vacuuming the carpets. As a result, all furniture has to be designed to be capable of being stored up off the floor, giving clear access for the robo cleaners to do their job. So I'm going to talk to you now about the design challenge. So this is broken up into a couple of parts. The first part involves you spending around 15 to 20 minutes designing a simple stool. A simple stool for young children that are aged between 5 and 8, and that's appropriate for in a Roboville home. Now, the stool must, so a few specification points for you to consider. It's got to be capable of being bought in flat pack form. Very much like the products you would buy if you went to IKEA and you bought them from off of the shelves at the bottom. But similar. So as I say, similar to IKEA products, but a little bit different in that we want your product to be easily put together without the use of adhesives, so glues, or tools and equipment. So within your IKEA packages, you'll always get a little packet with your nuts and bolts and your screws and maybe wooden dowels. You might get a little Allen key in there as well, which enables you to put it all together. We don't want you to include any of that. And the reason for that is we want it to be able to be put together and taken apart in less than 3 minutes. It also needs to be able to hang on the wall to allow the robo cleaner to clean at night. So again, thinking about different methods that could be achieved. So that first task, what are we looking for? What would we like to see ideally? Well, we want to see you showing us your design skills. We want you to show us how well you can design, how well you can sketch, how well you can use different drawing techniques. So we would like to see maybe some 1 point or 2 point perspective drawings. There may be some isometric drawings in there. You might want to use a different range of shading techniques. You might want to do some close-ups to show how this stool might go together without the use of adhesives or tools and equipment. So really think about the type of stool you're designing. What are the children that are aged 5 to 8, what are they going to use this stool for? Is it a stool that they might use to gain a bit of height when they're using the sink to brush their teeth? Is it a stool that they're going to sit on when they're doing some work? Is it a stool that they're actually going to rest their feet on when they're sitting watching the telly on the sofa? Things to really think about and make sure you show us in your design ideas. Then we'd like you to move on to the second part of the task, and that's going to involve you spending around about 40 to 60 minutes modelling your design. And we want you to model it from any of the following materials or any others that you might have at home that we've not mentioned on the list. So in school, you may have used foam board. So, you might have some of that laying around. If not, probably going to have some corrugated cardboard, maybe what's been left over from your latest Amazon delivery, or any other delivery that you might have had. You might have some polypropylene lying around, tends to be the plastic on the back and front of your planners or folders, any old folders that you might have that you don't mind cutting up. In school, we use art straws, paper art straws, but you might have some plastic straws left over from a party, or you might have some paper ones laying around somewhere that you could use. You might have some string or thread. You might want to think about using sewing thread and sewing parts together. For instance, you might have some wooden cocktail sticks, or you might have some like wooden kebab skewers laying around as well that may work just as well. You might have some thin card left over. Maybe you've finished your cereal box lately, or your cereal, and you've got that left over. You might have some thin plastic sheet. You might have things like sweet wrappers that could be useful to create different effects. And then you might have masking tape or sellotape or tapes like double-sided that might be useful to join parts together. So yeah, hopefully this is a really good challenge to get your teeth into, to think about designing this simple product that's going to be quite exciting, but really think about who you're designing it for. How are you going to make it appealing? And then the final part of the task, this is something that you might want to spend a bit more time doing over the summer holidays, but it's entirely up to you. And that is, you're going to create a 3D virtual model of your stool design. Now, we've suggested using the program Sketchup and Make. However, you may have experience of using other 3D CAD programs. Some people may have used Tinkercad before. So just, stick with one that if you've not worked with SketchUp. But if you haven't, then SketchUp is a good one to start with, because you can download it for free, providing you're using it for educational purposes. So you're going to draw your design in SketchUp, and then once you've completed it, we want you to save it, and then we want you to do an export of it. So you can do file export, and then you can choose the type of file you want to export it as, and you're going to choose a 2D graphic. And in particular, you want it to be set as a JPG file. Now, we want you to show us your stool, your creation, from a number of different views. So use the rotate tool within SketchUp and rotate it so that we can see it from different views. Maybe zoom in on it so we can see some real close-ups of how you envisage that it will go together. Okay. Each time you zoom in or rotate, make sure you export it again so you get a number of different JPEG files that show it from the different views. You're then going to bring them in. So you're either going to do this either two ways. You might want to print all the pictures out and then in colour, and then stick them onto a plain A4 piece and then annotate using the headings you see in front of you. Or you might want to just take the picture straight into a program like PowerPoint or Publisher, and then annotate using text boxes around the images that you place on there. So when you're annotating, we want you to talk about aesthetics. We want you to talk about the colours, the shapes, the patterns, maybe the theme that your product has. You may decide you want to go for an animal theme to make it more appealing for your young children. We then want you to talk about customer. And again, customer aesthetics is quite closely linked. And why is your product suitable for that age range? What have you done? How have you designed it so that it's suitable? We then want you to talk about ergonomics. So this is really, really key in the way that your stool goes together. So how have you made it easy to assemble in under 3 minutes? How have you made it easy to use? Have you made it comfortable to use? All of these, ergonomics is about making a product, you don't want your product to harm the user in any way. You don't want it to be inconvenient for them. You want it to be just to do what it's supposed to do successfully. Now, you might want to think about within that the shape and the size of it, and you might want to consider some anthropometric human measurement data in order to make sure you get it the right size. And that links in with safety, because if a product's the right size, it's going to be safe. But if it's easy to put together, it's also hopefully going to be safe. So think about anybody with little fingers and stop them not getting trapped, etc., or small parts coming off. We want you to think about sustainability. How are you going to make this product safe for the environment or good for the environment? You can think about materials, obviously link that to materials below. But you might also want to think about what type of finish would you apply? So again, link it to aesthetics. So think about the type of paint maybe if you were to paint it, etc. We want you to think about function. So make sure you're telling us what the stool is for. So like I explained before, when you're thinking about your design and sketching it on paper. And then obviously talk to us about the materials. So it hasn't got to be made from just one material. It could be made from a range of materials. It could have some fabrics in it. It could be include timbers, etc. So this sheet that you're going to create, this A4 page, you are going to bring it to your first lesson with us in September. So be prepared. Just going on. If you haven't used SketchUp before, and you haven't got it installed at home, you can register and download it for free. So if you just follow that link, then you should be able to do that quite successfully. You will need to register as you do it. And then if you want to get to grips with it a bit more, it's one of those programs you can almost open it and get going with it, but it's always nice to actually understand the functions a little bit more. So we've included 2 SketchUp for Beginner YouTube clips that you might want to watch that hopefully will help you with that. So one's the basic functions, and then the other one is modelling a house, which, steps it up a little bit more. So, that's your task. So we hope you enjoy it. Some of you've maybe not been doing any designing for a while. So hopefully this gets you back into it. It gets you thinking about some of the key aspects of design, and why you're passionate about it, why you want to go on and do it at A level. And so we really look forward to seeing you in September and what you've created as well. Okay, stay safe and we'll see you soon.